The Girl from Oto, Book 1, Chapter 9, Summer 2014, Oxford, England. Zari. Zari stood in the reception room, wineglass in hand, gawking at the soaring wood-paneled walls and diamond-shaped window panes. She had slept through the night, showered again, downed a flat white, which as far as she could tell was a latte, but somehow better. And today the world seemed a place of wonder, full of navigable challenges. She had given a talk on female patrons of portrait artists in Renaissance-era Northern Europe, and attended various presentations by other researchers. And here she was at the drinks reception, not only still awake, but as her brother Gus would say, on fire. A second wind was kicking in out of nowhere. She looked down at her orange jersey dress, black sandals, and the crystal pendant that dangled from her neck, a going-away gift from her mother. Conducting a quick fashion check of the other women in the room, she saw that most of them were clad in neutrals. She craned her neck in search of outliers, and spotted a polka-dotted wrap dress in turquoise and white, a deep purple tunic, and across the room a sunflower yellow blouse. Her mental inventory was interrupted by a man with artfully arranged, thinning sandy hair and a body composed of long limbs and a reedy trunk. One of his hands clutched a half-full glass of white wine, the other was extended toward Zari. "Herodotus Butterfield Swinton," he said. "Medieval arts." She shook his hand and quickly retrieved her own. "Herodotus, the ancient historian?" "Ah, you're American," he observed, nodding sagely. "I was named for him, yes, though I'm mostly called Doty. Easier that way." His eyes traveled to her chest and telescoped back up to her face. A current of annoyance rippled through her, but she kept her voice even. "Why Herodotus?" "My father was translating Herodotus's histories when my mother was carrying me. It seemed appropriate to name his first son after the man who wrote the words he was living, eating, and breathing. History is in our blood, one could say." He burst into a hearty laugh. She forced out a polite chuckle. "But you've not told me your name." Doty sidled closer. "Zari Durrell. I've got a postdoctoral fellowship with the Institute of Northern European Portraiture at St. Andrews. I'm here for the conference, and to study a painting." "Ah, how nice to put a face with the name. I hear you've come to resurrect Cornelia van der Zee from obscurity, though our own portrait's reputation is a bit bedraggled of late." He had a hard time keeping his eyes on hers. They kept zooming in on other components of her body. She fought off an urge to cross her arms over her chest and instead assumed a wide-legged power stance. "You're familiar with the story?" she asked. "The Parisian letters?" "More than familiar. It was I who brought them to the attention of the dean. They surfaced at a conference I was attending at the Sorbonne. What was its title? In the Sphere of the Personal, Letters of the Renaissance." He paused to sip from his glass. "So, do you reject the idea that the portrait was painted by Cornelia van der Zee, based on those letters?" Zari asked. "There is no denying the painting looks like her work, of course, and its subject resembles Marie de Béart rather eerily," he said. "But the entire provenance of the painting is in question now, don't you see? It's begun to reek of inauthenticity." Zari was momentarily paralyzed by an inappropriate desire to laugh. He rummaged in a pocket, pulled out a card, and extended it to her. "I curate the Fontbroke College art collection, so I'll be in close contact with the conservator as the analysis of the painting progresses." "Do you know who's funding the restoration, then?" He shook his head. "Anonymous benefactor. But I suspect he is a descendant of either Cornelia van der Zee or Marie de Béart. That's the only reason a private donor would put up the cost of restoration for a painting by a minor artist like van der Zee." "He? So Anonymous is a man?" Zari asked. What? A small frown furrowed Dodi's brow. No, I suppose it could be a woman. In any event, the cost of a restoration can rise to £20,000 or more. Only a blood relation would be motivated to pay that much then. Of course. There's no other logical explanation. Zari opened her mouth to speak and shut it again. What would she gain by suggesting that logic might have nothing to do with it? That there was also tremendous power in the desire to solve a mystery, to reveal the secrets buried under layers of paint. To her, curiosity was an equally valid motive, but she was a junior academic, an interloper in the rarefied world of Herodotus Butterfield Swinton. It was wiser to stay silent, for now. Dodi plucked a full glass of wine off the tray of a passing server and deposited the empty one in its place. Dodi, Vanessa said, appearing at Zari's side. Look who you found. Dodi nodded curtly in Vanessa's direction and saluted her with his glass. I must excuse myself, ladies. Lovely speaking with you, Zari. He made off for the opposite side of the room. That was a quick exit, Zari observed. Dodi and I, what is the term you Americans use? We agree to disagree, quite often. Vanessa's eyes followed Dodi across the room. It's a bit like modern-day jousting. His name can't possibly be real. Zari found herself squinting at the shadows where the walls and ceiling met. Were cameras filming this? Was she an unwitting participant in some mocking reality show about the upper echelons of academia? Oh, his name is real, Vanessa said, and how he loves to hear himself say it. Maybe he thinks it's a magic spell. Or a curse. Apparently, I'll have ample opportunity to discover what makes Dodi tick, because he's involved with the restoration of the Van der Zee portrait. Zari couldn't hide the disappointment in her voice. Don't fret about that, Zari, Vanessa said. His duties as curator are far eclipsed by his responsibilities as a professor. I should know. When we prepare for conferences like this one, he's always after me to carry out the administrative details he'd rather not deal with. Believe me, chatting with art conservators is at the bottom of his to-do list, and I would be happy to remind him of it. A tall, blue-eyed woman with her hair twisted into a bun approached. For the record, Zari, she announced, Dodi's off limits. He's married, with children. Aggie! Zari enveloped her in a hug. The rush of gratitude she felt upon seeing a familiar face was startling. This was the first time she had seen Aggie in person since they met 2 years ago at a conference in New York, but they had kept in close contact through email and video calls. It had been Aggie who convinced Zari to apply to the University of St. Andrews for a fellowship. Aggie who put her in touch with Vanessa Conlon. Aggie who offered to house Zari in her flat in St. Andrews. Without Aggie, Zari knew she would not be here. Vanessa kissed Aggie's cheek. The Scottish textile maven is back. Oxford missed you. Getting here was a bit dodgy, Aggie said, grinning. I got caught up in a swarm of rather large American tourists coming across the bridge. Yesterday I was publicly shamed on that bridge, Zari said. A man in a Hogwarts outfit yelled at me for taking a photo of a group of little Harry Potter clones. You thought Harry Potter was fictional? Aggie threw a knowing look at Vanessa. Yanks really are naive. It's good to have some new blood here, Vanessa said. This conference tends to attract the usual suspects. She pointed across the room at a round-bellied man with a shock of gray hair, holding court with a bevy of younger colleagues. There's Aggie's arch-rival, she said, leaning close to Zari with a conspiratorial air. He's been parading around the room, passing himself off as the expert on Scottish textiles of the Renaissance era. I'd be happy to go a few rounds with him, even with his Oxford pedigree, said Aggie. Just let me sharpen my tongue. She took a swig of wine. The University of St. Andrews is nothing to sneeze at, Zari protested. You've got quite an impressive pedigree yourself. Oh, but Zari, Aggie shook her head somberly. This is Oxford, the universe of Oxford. No other institution can bestow the same burnish of prestige. We look mortal on the outside, Vanessa said, tapping the side of her head. The gold is in here. You make light of it, Vanessa, but the universe of Oxford must be a lonely place for a woman at times, Zari said. I'm sure Fontbroke College didn't exactly crawl with mentors when you were first hired. Vanessa nodded. Some of the dinosaurs had a hard time with me at first. Irish and female, and calling myself an expert on the history of my own people. A triple threat, Aggie said. A trifecta of uppityness, Zari said. I thought they would welcome the addition of an actual Celt to the ranks of their Celtic experts, Vanessa admitted. Aggie clucked her tongue. The innocence of youth. They didn't know what to make of me. Vanessa's voice took on a low, dreamy cadence. My family came from an island off southern Ireland, where the women harvested kelp and the men were at the mercy of the sea, fishing for mackerel and lobsters, even taking seals when they could. My grandmother was born there, along with her 9 brothers and sisters. She was trundled off to the mainland to work and never went back. She kept their stories alive, though. Tales of sea maidens and kraken and kelp goddesses and the like. So, naturally, when I was adrift in my early days at Fontbroke College, I didn't have to dig too far into my memory bank for a mentor. Eilish, her name was, covered in scales, her hair made of kelp, and she carried within her the power of the sea. Aggie's shoulders started to shake with laughter. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, I'm dead serious. Vanessa glared at the empty space just beyond Aggie and let out an exasperated sigh. For the love of God, back me up on this, Eilish. All 3 of them burst into laughter. The knots of people clustered nearby grew quiet, and Zari felt the weight of a dozen pairs of eyes upon them. To be fair, I found real allies here in the boys' club, Vanessa said finally, collecting herself. They're not all dinosaurs. Eilish has gotten me through some dark days, though, I won't lie. Zari raised her glass. To Eilish, then, and all the other women, real or imagined, who have helped us along the way.